Hey guys, hopefully everybody's doing well today. I uh I'm not at my usual location right now and I don't have my mouse. So all of the things. But I think due to those circumstances, I'm going to probably go do a little bit of crafting. I think that'll be a simple solution to the issue. Um Apparently my mouse was misplaced during transport. Hopefully, it is somewhere easily findable. I haven't gone on any great searches for it because I think, it's not that big of a deal. I can, do a little crafting. Actually, I've changed my mind because I think it would be even better to get a little bit of harvesting in Enchanted Lands. Um, because I won't. Yeah, I mean, I need to do some because I don't think that we have a whole lot of harvests left in the depots at tier 4, which is what I would need right now. So it would be silly to go back to the hall and start crafting only to find that I actually can't do much crafting. So may as well run over and do a little bit of gathering while I don't have my mouse and I'm in an unusual location. Realistically, I wouldn't have a good spot to use my mouse even if I had it right now. So, um, not a big deal. There's always, there's the built-in mouse pad on the laptop, which is what I shall be using for the nonce. Um, yeah. So, good times. I haven't done anything too exciting yet today, either in real life or in the game. Haven't eaten breakfast yet or anything crazy like that. Um, but that's not uncommon for me. I often go without breakfast. More of a lunch starter kind of person. Give my uh belly a little time to wake up in the mornings. Often I'll have something to drink, whether that's coffee or Dr. Pepper or something like that, and call it a day. Currently, not even doing that. Just doing without those sorts of things until until I get into, like I said, a better location overall for streaming. I have not logged in to live yet. Um, I know that I had mentioned I may at some point log over there to um, to check in on the Halloween activities before they're gone. I don't know when that happens. It may be, if anybody knows, let me know. It might be Tuesday that they're gonna shut the Halloween stuff down. I'm really not sure. Not to the Dead. Um, if you've never seen that stuff, there is a good amount of Halloween quests and activities that you can do on live. Um, it's pretty cool. It's almost worth logging in, but so far, not quite. Got a shiny. Maybe it's going to be a striped red ant. Let's find out. It is not a striped red ant. We're all surprised, as usual. Oh, look, a beach clamper. But can I succeed in something like that with my very poor mouse condition? I don't know. I don't know. Let's find out. This is definitely a more difficult situation playing with the mouse on uh, I can't even think of what it's called, but the built-in mouse on a laptop. And the thing is, normally you can click on the mouse pad, um, like a touchpad, to make things happen. But on this mouse, I don't know if it's just not very sensitive or what the deal is, but clicking it is insufficient. So you need to click the button, but you can use the touchpad uh, to move around the pointer. So what I was having to do there is move the pointer to the buttons and then click them because I don't have them set up as like one, two, three, four. I have those on my emergency bar up top, of which I don't have very many things yet. Primarily to interrupt, honestly. Technically, I have Feign Death. I have thus far forgotten to use Feign Death. Just consistently forgotten that it exists. So, so hopefully, I'll start remembering that at some point. Um, it's so far hasn't been all that imperative, but when I'm out with a group and we have a healer and you know we are going to wipe. That's going to be the moment at which Feign Death is going to be vital to remember. So hopefully by then I'll have become more familiar with using that. For now, it's just sitting pretty over there, hanging out. Sadly, the mouse, the touchpad is just not great due to the circumstances. I'm definitely going to come over here to the very easy to gather area to the right and do my gathering there this morning. Seems like the best solution, all things considered. And the less I have to move the mouse cursor around, the better that's going to be for me. So I've stuck it in a position where I think I can pretty simply navigate my character um, without having to move my mouse as much. So, solutions, yay. Otherwise, it's been a pretty brisk morning here. It's not freezing or anything like that, but it's definitely pretty cool. I haven't turned any fires on yet. I just at our place I have a wood stove for heating, and haven't gotten that ready for the winter yet. So just kind of um, doing without for the moment on that, and hopefully soon I will get that dealt with. Need to, clean out the flu and all that business, right? I think the thing we're lowest on is probably the thing that everyone is always lowest on, which is, of course, the roots. It's also, as a result, the most difficult node to run across without just harvesting everything in an area and waiting for repops, because many people cherry pick the roots roots and rocks. And so you find a lot of bushes and wood laying around ungathered. You don't find as many of the roots and rocks until you clear an area and then wait for repops on that, which is what I'm going to work on doing. This little section over here is a great place to do that, close to the Spires in Enchanted Lands, because it's just about the right size that you can clear the whole area and come back around, and things will have begun to repop. So, and it has everything, it has all of the rocks and roots and dens and wood and also the fish, all here, all represented. So it's a good spot to gather for especially for people who are lower level than the zone. It's a great place to come. There's not as much aggro as in other locations that have harvestables in Enchanted Lands or really in anywhere. It's one of the better places, in my opinion. Overall, one of the better places to gather. Uh-oh. Looks like I still have on my spirit totems. And, oh well, I guess I don't have to worry about it. That was the last one. I was going to try to turn those off, but it's of no consequence. So, for those who don't know, spirit totems exist that give you health and power increases out of combat in the same way that food and drink does. The food and drink often also gives you other stats, whereas the totems that give you health and power don't give you other stats. They are very good, especially if you're out, if you're out grouping and you all have them, then you can you can get going a lot faster because your health and power regenerate at a much quicker rate than if you're just eating and drinking. So they're very helpful in that regard. They can get you a lot more accomplished in the same amount of real life time. And there'll be one, yeah, it's just like food. There'll be different ones for each tier. Um, so find yourself a handy woodworker and say, hey, can I have like a bajillion uh, of these? And it'll save you a lot of time. Looks like it's 2 minutes until the spire fires off. If anybody needs to pop over anywhere, if you're at or Zach or any of that business, it's about to go. Think this character is almost level 34 now. In fact, I know it because I'm looking at the bar at this moment. I don't want to mouse over and see exactly where I'm at because it's just a little more of a pain than usual to mouse around without a mouse. But nonetheless, I think it's maybe 90. Let's see, 95 point some odd percent, maybe 96% into the next level. So level 34 will happen pretty soon. Oh, look, a wayward page just floating in the wind over there, helicopter style. I don't think I'm going to go do any harvesting of the fish right now, and that is because, again, not having a mouse and having to rely on the touchpad makes things a little bit trickier to move the cursor around, and harvesting fish often is much easier if you can move the mouse more easily. So, just going to stick with it like this for the moment. I don't think I actually have any quests in Enchanted Lands yet. I've been trying to keep those down to a minimum until I can clear most of um, Thundering Steps and Neck Forest. I have some quests hither and yon from the past that I also need to get back to, like the Crypt of Betrayal, possibly something in the Vermin's Snai. I'm not 100% sure, but I might have some leftovers in there. I definitely have some in the Crypt of Betrayal. I know that I'm pretty sure that I'm on the step that goes into Crypt of Betrayal for my armor quest. Um, Obviously, I'm not interested in the armor quest as far as gear goes, but just for completion's sake, because, that's how I am. Uh, so, I do want to get that done at some point. I don't know which step of it I'm on, but I don't think that it would be that big of a deal to get it done. So at this point, I should be able to basically whenever I'm ready to. I really strongly want to kill that treant. I also realized that I'm not actually in my harvesting gear. I guess I would go ahead and do that. Go to the armor sets and then go to harvesting. The only things that I have right now are actually I think it's the shovel and the pick that I currently have in my armor set, or in my harvesting set, I should say. It appears that we have at least one other fellow running around doing a little harvesting as well. But the other guy who's in this area appears to be possibly questing, but definitely doing some adventuring. Nonetheless, I'm not terribly worried about it. It's a big enough area to share. And again, it's at the end of the day, not a big deal. Gonna see if I can grab this shiny. Enchanted leaf is what I got. Well, I don't think that piece of wood is really worth the chance of getting in the fight with that beetle right now. judging from the fact that I don't really need the wood and I don't really care to fight this stuff. I don't really care if I do. I just don't. It's just not super convenient at the moment. Unfortunately, my bags are going to fill up fairly soon, and then I will have to hop over to Guild House and make some deposits. McGoffer boy. Hmm, that's interesting. People are talking in chat about weapon auras. We've identified the issue and are working on resolving it for future purchases. If you purchased the weapon aura item and did not get the feature, please contact customer service so they can grant it to your account. They are aware of the issue. Interesting. I didn't realize that weapon auras were a thing on this server, but apparently you can purchase them on the marketplace and have an aura on your weapon. Or actually, you can't right now because it's bugging out. But you're supposed to be able to. Oh my goodness, they've changed their message of the day, I see. It was something about, what's the best job for a pumpkin? And the answer was a life gourd, right? Today it is what type of pumpkin makes the best tank? And the answer, a Gordian. So we're really playing up the pumpkin slash gourd thing, seems like. So I got another one for you. What is a witch's favorite flower? The answer? The gardenia. Ha ha ha. Yeah, I can make dad jokes too. Ah, McGoffer boy is taking that animal den. I see an ore over there, however, that is unmolested, and another one over the ridge. So I remember when I was in high school, and we learned that in Spanish, when they want to say at the zoo, don't feed the animals. They say no molesten los animales, right? And and all of the boys tittered in glee at the word molesten, which is, don't bother, basically. Don't mess with them. It's kind of interesting to me, though, that means don't feed the animals. It seems like it would mean don't do anything to the animals, don't do the things. Leave them alone, right? But we were taught that it means don't feed the animals. Well, it's a little strange. Ah, my nemesis, MacGuffin boy. He who is my competitor for animal dens. I felt like I might have seen a shiny over there as I turned a minute ago this direction, but oh, okay, it's a page. We don't care about that. Got a very mischievous maiden, you know, bringing up the rear, but I'm not real concerned about that either. We're just gonna keep on going and ignore its ire. It's just not that exciting. After all, there's roots to be gathered. Oh, hey, Mr. Jelly, how you doing this morning? Is it evening for you? Or no, it wouldn't be. It must be early afternoon, right? I've been playing without a mouse this morning, just using the touchpad, and let me just tell you, it is not a joyful event. I'm thinking that either I left the mouse in the car when I moved locations, or worse, could have dropped the mouse. The mouse could have been dropped on the way in. Not bad. Currently at work, it's 3:30 p.m. Okay, so mid-afternoon then. I wasn't too far off, all things considered. Which puts you in Europe. And let's see here. Mr. Jelly, where would you be from? Mister. We're gonna go the easy route and say the UK, which is vague, I realize, but that's my initial guess. UK based, yeah. All right, that was my initial assumption. It reminds me, your name reminds me of the, actually, it reminds me of the poem, um, The Wastelands, I believe, T.S. Eliot. And at the beginning of it, it has a quote, and I'm trying to remember exactly what the quote was, but I remember it talks about Mr. Kurt, uh, and every time I see your name, that's what I think of, Mr. Kurt, which was a character in a story, uh, and I can't remember if it was in Death Eaters, perhaps. I can't recall. Mr. Kurt, he dead. That's the quote in I believe the beginning of the Wastelands. And I could be wrong on any of this. If anybody out there hasn't read T.S. Eliot's works, I very much recommend the poetry there. It's good stuff. And actually, that puts me in mind of Childe Roland to the Dark Tower Came, which is the poem that Stephen King's Dark Tower series was based on. And it's interesting if you have read the poem, which I read the poem long ago now. And if you read the poem and then you start reading that series, there are some things that you will be prepared for that happen in the series that did not please a lot of people who read that book series. But I feel like if they had read the poem Childe Roland to the Dark Tower Came, then they would have been prepared for things like the ending of the series. And I don't want to give any spoilers about what I mean there, but just so you know, if you are thinking of reading that series, you might check that poem out first. It's a very good poem, very dark and grim. And I think that's what put me in mind of Child Roll into the Dark Tower came after mentioning the Mr. Kirk quote, which I believe was from the Wastelands, because the Wastelands was, I believe, the third book, or maybe not. It's one of the books in the series. The Wastelands may have been, yeah, I think it was the third book. I think it was the Gunslinger, followed by the Drawing of the Three, followed by the Wastelands. So I just finished reading Brave New World, speaking of books, to my 16-year-old son yesterday, and I was fairly disappointed in it. Really was expecting more out of something that's considered a classic and is kind of pushed on people to read. Actually, it was night before last that I finished reading it to him. But anyway, um, so interesting. Interestingly, not as uh, deep, not as profound as I would have expected. So I was fairly disappointed in that. And then, so I started reading Siddhartha to him yesterday, another one that's kind of a classic that I have never read yet. So we'll see how that goes. Uh, so far, I don't have much opinion on it. I heard of a book called Red River Rising, I believe, um, by something. I don't remember the man's name. Dan Pierce, maybe something like that. Um, and so I was hearing that it was an interesting book, but that'll be something maybe for the future. I don't know anything at all about it. I just one of my friends was mentioning it, so um, something to kind of keep in the back of my mind, perhaps. Ah, man, Dylan, one of my fellow harvesters, is doing well over there. He's got himself a little box. I only have slots for two more things. Bodes ill. So far, I think the only rares that I've gotten while I've been on this harvesting mission were glimmering things. See that Dylan wasn't interested in this mystical natural art. Color me shocked. These roots. How'd he miss those? Poor old Jan, sitting there in the Spires, missed his opportunity a few minutes ago. If only he had known. You notice that I keep looting the shinies in spite of the fact that I have to move the mouse around. It's, to me, more of a worthwhile endeavor, you know. You make exceptions for these things. Ah, Dylan has discovered the rhythmic stone. I'm going to let him have it. He can have both of them. I could have gone and gotten the second one while he got the first one, but it seems like that wouldn't be very polite. And plus, I'm gonna delete some of this pig meat for this root. And then I think since my bags are now full, I will make a once over real fast just to see if there's any more stone hanging around. There's some man, everybody going for that ore. I guess I'll get this rhythm stone here. Um Dravon. He came to get I don't know. Perhaps the shiny? Yes, the shiny. I didn't even see Dravon before that I noticed. But I suppose I'll come get this shiny before I call out and deposit some things into the thing. What's the plan in today's session? Haha, goals. You say funny things. Oh, plan is a strong word for what I'm doing. I did some gathering. I don't have my mouse at the moment, like my non-touchpad mouse. So the plan is to do things that require very little mouse activity beyond clicking a button. So, so I ran around. I failed to get any rares, I think, and I did get a little bit of stuff to refill the depots with. So the plan currently is to unload those items into the depots and then try to maybe sell some things and make some room in the bags and apparently go into my house instead of the guild house. That's also the plan evolves, as things happen. But that being said, considering the conditions, I feel like I've made a little bit of progress. Got some stuff, and you know, mm, things needed to be done. For some reason, I just threw my food and drink into into the depot. I was actually trying to throw my lore and legend pieces into the depot, but clicking things and using the brain can be difficult. So here we are. Guess I'll get some of this crusted mackerel. How about you, Mr. Jelly? What are you planning to do when you get home? I know you said you're at work right now, but I'm assuming that you plan to do a little EQ2 afterward. Oh, that was so kind of that human to open the door. It's proving to be tricky. All right, so I'll hide my not for sale, and I'll just sell a bunch of this stuff. I don't want to sell an old key at any point, I don't think. So we'll just knock that off into the not for sale side of the world and sell some of this random stuff. Don't want to sell that to a merchant for sure. All right, so we now have a good amount of room in the bags. You can go back out for some more elite harvesting activities. This is how you do it when you're a certain amount of cool, right? You say only a little. I have a spare hour tonight, so probably not too much. Probably try and harvest some steel, I think. Ah, well, there you go. We're on the same page to a large degree. Just a tier difference. Now, I could go to Kino's Harbor and buy a ticket for 90 silver to go straight over to the Thundering Steps docks or the Nectalos Forest docks. But I'm not in that big of a hurry, honestly, so we're just going to take the scenic route, as is my usual. and give it another couple minutes of time to get there. Is it worth 90 silver to save a few minutes? Possibly. Possibly might be true under certain conditions, but under my current conditions of uh, casual, very casual play, um, I'm going to not do that. The less of a rush everything is, the less stress there is. And so, got to look at that, and even the small things add up. And look at this nice, relaxing griffin flight that we get to just sit back and watch. I remember when the Griffins used to take an even more circuitous route around Antonica, and I remember at some point they cut that down to a more straightforward flight, um, which was very helpful, especially for like the journey is half the fun. When you may want to take the Griffin to cut down. In fact, you definitely would want to take the Griffin to cut down on the amount of time that it takes to run around Antonica and then jump off at different places. So, anyway, just a just a little. I don't even really want to call it an anecdote. Just a little memory from the past. And of course, what else would it be a memory of, right? Memories are inherently from the past. So you said, Mr. Jelly, that you have a Shadow Knight. What level is he up to now? You said 15 was the last I heard. And you were going the Scholar route, as I recall, as far as trade skilling goes, that is.
Hello.
Nah, man, there's one of those young antelopes. I actually feel like I really need to stop and get this antelope, in spite of it being more difficult conditions. He's not hard to kill, and I need so many uh, things from him. It says I have all of the bones necessary now. That's cool. Nonetheless, I'm going to get this one for the other quest, which is just antelope in general. And there's 3 antelope hanging around, so gonna go ahead and take that opportunity as it has presented itself to me. And of course, since I'm going to be running around in the docks area, I'm definitely going to go see if I've got a shiny I can grab over there. And hopefully, if if the fates align, the stars align, uh, then it could potentially be a striped red ant, Eloise Laceleaf. Who knows? It could happen. So this angle is terrible, so I had to stop running so that I could click the touchpad button and then with the other hand adjust the view. That's where I'm at right now, folks. The beach camper is gonna come after me. Ho ho, look at that. Plain yellow ant. Man, what a shame. So close, yet so far away. Only close in that it was an ant. But that's 1 out of 3 words, and I'm going to accept it as close. Normally, I would say every time that you run by a mender, be sure to see if you need to mend. But in this case, I feel like 99% certain that I do not need to mend, as I know that did mend this morning on my way by that very mender. All right, we've made it back to our harvesting area of choice. I'm sure there's been enough time while I was gone for the roots and rocks to be pretty cleared of the area. So we'll go back to the mission of clearing everything back out and getting some repops on that. Mr. Jelly, at your tier, is it the loams that you're using for your rare spells? Does it take the rare loams? Ah, a page hanging around. Oh, there's Dylan. see that we have all successfully avoided harvesting that piece of wood. Nobody wants to fight these beetles over this piece of wood, I see. Also, don't need this one of the Enchanted Lands LDZ, so I will leave it for one of these other folks who's running around harvesting. If I was alone, I would probably go ahead and take it, just so that it has a chance to respawn as something that I do need. But since we've got a couple of folks running around and maybe someone else needs it, feels like the better option is just to let them have their chance at it. The only issue with that is, will I remember where exactly it is so that I don't continue to try to harvest the thing that I definitely don't need? But here's another shiny. I'll pick that one up for sure. Still not something super exciting for me, I'm afraid. But I will throw it into the depot, and someone else will perhaps love to have it. Or I'll probably throw it into the depot. I might throw it on the broker, you never know. Odds are I'll throw it in the depot. Gadgets ran by. I didn't notice, but I hope in my heart of hearts that Gadgets is a gnome. And if tinkering were a thing in the game yet, then you could be a gnomish tinkerer, and that would be amazing. However, my understanding is that the tinkering system will not come out, or didn't come out until the Moors of Akisha. Moors of Akisha or Moors of Akesha. Different people pronounce it differently. Whichever way you pronounce it, though, the Moors. And I don't know if we'll get to the Moors on this server or not. I have no idea what the goal is. Last I knew, no one, including the devs, were really sure how far they were going to go or what the long-term plans in general were. That may have changed. I don't know. It feels like it might be a good idea for them to continue going until such time that the player base begins to drop off, and then to make note, like, at what point did that happen? What did we do differently here that made less people interested, right? And then, even though they seem to have not known what happened the first time, obviously, because they kept doing terrible things, then maybe this time around they could figure out what do people actually like and what do people not like by just kind of seeing with these kinds of servers, this one and others that are TLEs, you know, what point was it that people no longer were interested in playing? And maybe figure out why that is. How can they improve? And that would be a good start, I feel, not only to continue this game in some way, but perhaps to design the next one as well. And yes, I'm positing that they could uh, create an EverQuest 3, certainly I would give it a shot. I know that a lot of people would. They did try to do that at one point. They tried EverQuest Next, which was a two-part deal, and it never really got off the ground. I think partially because it was a little bit uh, more industrious than they actually realized when they first went into it, and maybe they weren't quite there on their capabilities to do what they had intended to try to do with that, which was really interesting. It sounded like it would be a very interactive world that they were going for, with changes that when they happened would be a part of the landscape from then on. So the change would occur, and then it would change the entire world in a more real world fashion, which was an interesting idea. But in practice, I'm not sure why exactly that didn't go further. I did play in the beta of I cannot think of the name of it now, but it was part of it was essentially I guess, the world building part of that. Landmark. They called it Landmark. That's what it was. So I did play in the beta Landmark, and it wasn't something that I'm really interested in because it was, well, okay, it's like decorating, but on a larger scale. It was building the parts that were going to be used in EverQuest Next, if all had gone as planned. Uh, so there were people who did really amazing things. They were using voxels and creating just super, super cool stuff. I can't, I know there were people making things like pirate ships and stuff like that just out of, uh, think like Minecraft. But if Minecraft had, decent graphics and, I don't know, broader, I think, more complex. Um, so it was pretty cool. It's really too bad I don't have a mouse, because this fellow is yelling for help. Anyone interested or willing to help me kill Lamias and Boz Tarog for the bag of Sony Evil Eye Quest? I would definitely be willing to help him do that. But unfortunately, I don't think that my help would be very helpful in my current state. I mean, I could go and throw it on auto attack and put him on follow and click some buttons, but I don't know that it would be as beneficial as he might need. So I think that someone did get that shiny that was over there, which is cool. Hopefully they needed it. I haven't seen Dylan in a whole second, so I don't know. Maybe he has gone on to greener pastures, or maybe we're just on the opposite sides from each other running around. Did get a rare a little bit ago. I don't know if you guys saw that, but right here, got a face steel cluster. And I think that might be the only rare beyond the glimmering stuff that I've gotten while I've been out so far today. So to give you an idea, that's been, I don't know, maybe more than 30 minutes of harvesting. And that's the return so far. And again, that's with using an ash shovel and an ash pick, which makes the harvesting go a little bit faster than otherwise. It's just shiny right over that edge. I'm not in any major need um, for rares. They're always nice to have, and getting a little bit of ruthenium would be good. I could use a couple more pieces, and I'm sure that my guildmates could also use some. So I know that we still have a couple of pieces in the depot, but more would be better, certainly. I noticed that that piece of wood is still there by the beetles. And we've also added a beast den to the to the area. The unfortunate part about it is that it's taking up a node spawn, pretty much. As long as those stay there, that's two less nodes that are going to spawn in this area. So if I can run in real quick and grab one of these, then that's going to give more opportunities for things to spawn out here. So there we go. Not going to go try to get that beast in under the current conditions of mouselessness that I'm under. But at least we got one of those out of the way. And so that will help our future endeavors in that area. Got to think long term, you know. The cool part about gathering when you have friends and guildmates or even other alts is that no matter what you get, somebody's going to need it. So if you're out harvesting or if you're, collecting shinies, whether you need it or not, someone will. So it always makes me feel a little better about getting, picking up stuff that I wouldn't necessarily need for anything, like these mystical natural gardens. Um, the provisioners will be very pleased. They'll get a little assortment of different things that they might want. I don't currently have a provisioner on this server. That may change any time because I do in my past in playing this game, I've definitely tended toward having a good number of provisioners and being fairly self-sufficient, being entirely self-sufficient as much as can be done uh, regarding the ability to craft for my own characters. But on this server, as I've mentioned many times, I am taking it easy, playing casual, not not getting as involved as all that quite yet. I've considered leveling up one of my. I have. I think I have at this point three alts on this server that are very low level. And I've considered going over and leveling one of their crafting skills up a little high. But so far, I have resisted the urge to focus on that. Maybe, maybe at some point I will. We'll see. By the way, there's a quest right over here. It's like it's an exploration quest. It's right. I'll mouse over it right here. This piece of cement, concrete, right here. Bootstrapper's Trail Guide to South Mist. So that's the quest that you get. It says a weather-beaten trail guide, and if you pick that up, it just has you run all over the Enchanted Lands, and gives you it's just an exploration quest, just like you may have done in Antonica once upon a time. The Bootstrutter's Trail Guide to Antonica. Bootstrutter got around. That's the thing you need to know about him. He was the rock that, the stone, you might say, that grew no moss. I see a shiny over there, and even though there's a rhythmic stone to my left, I just feel the need to come get this shiny first. It's funny, I slide my finger along the touchpad, and man, it is a whole event because sometimes it's responsive and sometimes it isn't. So sometimes it just does nothing. Hence the reason I had to run back over there. It was not registering my click on the loot item or loot all. Um, but so I had to go back over before I ran too far and knocked it off. Subpar conditions, let me tell you. And then like the gaming gulag right now. Very sparse, uh, sparse conditions. No numlock key. Gotta press the function button to access the function keys, and now no mouse. It's a shameful experience. I've been seeing a lot of people ask about the new zone that was released in Fallen Dynasty, Nizara. And it's interesting to just see people talk about it because it seems like everybody is kind of afraid to go do it, or maybe they've tried to do it and they've been unsuccessful. And it sounds like there's only maybe a couple of groups that are actually trying to get through that. It's really interesting. I remember doing Nazara in the past, and I seem to recall that it's very important to bring bring potions along with you. I think that there's a lot of uh, stunning that goes on, as I recall, in especially just right off the bat, actually, in the very first fight. And there may be I don't remember. There may be a bit of fearing as well. And I don't know that the anti-fear potions are in the game yet. The anti-stun, anti-fear that you can cast while you are under that condition. Um, I don't remember. And if so, um, then the response to fear is simply crouching. And of course, getting your resistances up in general can prevent you from being feared. But um, definitely crouching makes you travel less distance while you're under the influence of the fear. I don't have any characters high enough level to go there because this one is my highest level, almost level 34. Certainly not ready for any of the Fallen Dynasty zones. Can't even get any quests over there. Went when Fallen Dynasty was first released on this server, I checked to see if a Gathering Obsession was there. My understanding is that Gathering Obsession is probably going to come out. Well, it did come out, let's say, with the Moors of Akesha, and so not available at this time. And even though I traveled around the areas where I would have, been able to get quests if they were available, and so neither my trade skill level nor my uh, adventuring level are high enough to pick up anything in in that area yet. I want to say that you have to be level 50 as a crafter to be able to pick up the crafting quest starter there, which is the lady on the docks, and I can't think of her name. But she's a Farsi's requisition lady, or Farsi's trading company, sorry. Farsi's trading company person. It might be Captain Ingrid something. I don't recall. But anyway, she's right off the docks and sort of welcoming you into that area when you arrive. And I believe that when you're about level 50 as a trade skiller, you'll be offered a quest by her, and they still don't have any of those those trade skill quests that later you'll find on the top floor of the cabin there on the mainland of the village of Shin. Those quests don't exist yet. Those also will come out or would come out if they get to that point. With Moors of Akesha. I do hope we make it that far with this server. Moors was fun. I really did enjoy the group trade skill quests that came out with that. It was underappreciated, I think, in some ways. At first, it felt like everybody was excited about it, and then it kind of fell off into something that people forgot existed, I think. But it was a neat idea, and it was the first time when crafters actually got to group up to go do something with crafting exclusively. The zones were interesting as well. Um, there were some cool. mechanics. For those of you who don't know, this server is currently at the point where Fallen Dynasty just came out last week, I think, maybe the week before last at this point, sometime very recently. And prior to that, we've got Kingdom of Sky. So um, people are, I guess, max level 70 right now. And people are just now breaking into the Nazara instance. And again, it looks like it's uh, being a little bit difficult for people, or they're hesitant to do it. Maybe they don't know what they're getting into. I'm not really sure. Just see people talking about it in general chat. There's another no trade. Shiny. Looks like in exactly the same spot as before, actually. But you'll see that now we have this residual ore over here instead of that log. So effective solution. I would go get that rhythmic stone, but if I did, it would aggro that fairy, and I just don't want to move the mouse around that much right now. I actually can't remember what quests take you into Nazara. I'm sure that some do. I just can't remember them right now. My memory is, I don't know. I think it's been too long since I played regularly like this. And my mind just threw a lot of information out along the way. I remember going in there and hunting something and having to figure out how to get to where we wanted to go, because it's has paths both sides of the area, and they cross over, and you have to figure out which one you need to go on in order to get where you need to go for the quest. And of course, I mean, that's just like anywhere, except it's just a little bit less straightforward than some places. But it's been It's been years since I was in Nazara, so. Filling the bags back up. Good news is, I have, between the last visit and this visit, I've gotten, getting close to 2 stacks of the roots, I think. Pretty sure that is the page that I already have, so I'm not going to harvest it. We'll see if I need this one. Ah, very good. You need it. And still need 2 more after this one for that collection. Here's yet another of the same kind of question. Overall, if you had to guess, how hard is the newer group instance? 1 out of 10, 10 being the highest. Nobody weighing in on that answer so far. And how scary are the monsters in there? More roots. How exciting. It's already 10:34, and so here in a little bit, I will have to get off of here and get some food for my, I don't know, it's the meal that I eat in the morning. It might be called breakfast, it might be called lunch. Some may call it brunch. It's the morning, the morning/noon meal is upcoming. So at some point soon I'll be doing that. And theoretically, I should be finding my mouse between now and then, the next time I get on after this, and that's going to be, it's going to be a whole new world for me now. Well, thank you for the follow, Conch Belly. But yeah, been working on the gathering portion of this, and so next time I'm ready to do some crafting, I ought to have a little bit to work with, but maybe not because again, there are other crafters in the guild, and so there may not be a lot left by the time I get to doing crafting. Hard to say. Depends probably on when I decide to start on that. Um, Maybe later today. It just depends. If other people are on and wanting to do things adventure then I will always do that. Alright, Punchbelly says, I love EQ2, just came back after many years away. Feel you. Feel you. I'm in the same situation. There for a while, I was barely, I would say I was barely logging in at all for for the last few years prior to coming back. Um, a few weeks ago solidly. I did make this character on Origins because some of my guildmates from Live and people I've played with for many years were contacting me in real life and saying, hey, um, we were playing on Origins and they were really wanting me to come. So I said, okay, I will go and help you guys make a guild and get everything set up. So I came and made this character, made a guild, and then I kind of stepped back out of it for about a year or so. Um, Now I'm just kind of trying to, play it and have fun, relaxing, casually, uh, or what I would consider casually, and I've been enjoying my time on Origins thus far. Yeah. But I am definitely behind some of my guildmates because I did, like I said, kind of disappear for a year or so. And so we've got some 57s and 58s. And then there's another group that's in the late 40s, and all of them are significantly higher than the level 33 I'm sitting at. However, there are some others in the guild who have also recently come back, and so they're lower level. So I don't know that I have anybody right. Well, okay, that's not true. Claw has an alt who's in his 30s, so there are some around this level, but for the most part, they're either higher or lower than this character, which means, either I'm mentoring down or someone is mentoring me when we are playing together. How do I find the grind? I'm not even worried about the grind, I'm not focused on leveling. Um, Not interested in doing that at all. I'm just going along, doing whatever I want to do, and having fun. I like to do quests, so I've been picking up quests and trying to get through those, and then doing some crafting. And I like pretty much all aspects of the game for the most part. So I can kind of vary what I'm doing without without it being painful. That's what I like about this level of the game. This time period in the game is that you do have so many options of what you can do. It's not like, oh, you have to do this quest line in order to be able to play with your friends, and you have to, do your dailies, do your weeklies, and all that just to be able to function. That's the direction life went that I didn't. I didn't have any use for. So it's nice to be able to just come play, and I can come in for however length of time I want to, whatever length of time I want to, um, and not feel like it's a job to play the game. Because playing a game should be fun. So, did you come back on Origins, or did you come back on Live? Or did you come back on a different TLE? Been playing Live for a while, but started a new character on Origins. Missed the feel of old EQ2, but love some of the Live features. I can understand that. There's definitely, for instance, the holiday events are always fun to participate on Live in. I do wish that they had them on this server, because I think that a lot of people really, really like the holiday events. I understand the idea of why they're not doing it. The XP and rewards, the general rewards to the quests that were introduced with those, um, wouldn't be reasonable to bring to this server. But at the same time, I really think that they could remove any of the XP rewards and the monetary rewards from those quests for this server, and people would still be happy just for the decorative element, um, if nothing else. I think they would be pleased with that. But I understand that's it's extra programming that is certainly unnecessary and may cause issues overall with the implementation of those quests. The potential to break things and not a huge reward for something that's temporary. So I understand, but it would be cool. Personally, I like doing the quests that come out with those, and the fact that they add a new quest every year to those, which keeps it fresh and interesting. But yeah, it's there are other features that are nice on Live. But again, it's kind of a slippery slope, because hmm, once you start going down the road of adding like quality of life elements, then um, you begin to make it become what life is. And so part of the game, part of the experience is the, if you want to call it the grind, it's the sense of accomplishment that you get from succeeding at something that's maybe long and difficult. Um, so I think there's room for both play styles. I think that keeping live going, and also um, bringing back some of this kind of server maybe hits both markets to a degree. I also do think, though, that the devs may want to pay attention to where the players are playing, to get some idea of what people are actually interested in. What do they want from this game, or what do they want from games in general? And not just devs of this game, but actually anyone interested in developing a game may benefit from kind of paying attention to what do people like. And again, as I've mentioned this before, you may not have been around though. It's not just EverQuest 2 that's having this experience. They've done the same thing in EverQuest 1, and they've also done the same thing in World of Warcraft. Brought back a World of Warcraft Classic server, which did phenomenally, just like this throwback server did phenomenally. I think that there's something to be said for a challenging, a more challenging game. People, a lot of people are looking for that because so many games right now are incredibly simplistic. And I tried playing Diablo 4, and and it was incredibly easy, like just mind-numbingly easy. You just run around and win. It's just winning all the time. It's hard to not win, honestly. And just leveling up by running through dungeons at max speed, stopping to toss a spell every now and then, and everything dies. That's very boring, very fast. Um, the only reason I continued to play it as long as I did was because my friends had wanted me to play it with them, and we were supposed to. Theoretically, we were going to group together and do things together, but in the real world, the game was so incredibly easy that we never even did group up. It was just like no one needed any help or want. It was just everybody doing their own thing and blowing through the quest line, and then hoping to find something difficult enough to need assistance or to, I mean, to bothering someone else about. So it was just extremely disappointing to pay for a game that was just incredibly easy. Um, so I think, I do know that a lot of people play Diablo 4, but I'm wondering if the state of games is such that the options are limited. Diablo had a big name, and so people jumped on it. I never was into it, but yeah, yeah, yeah. I see. You said they're mirroring your D4 experience. Yes, I think that maybe that's pretty most people's Diablo 4 experience. Maybe some of them just don't know it because they've never played a game that was more in depth than that. I'm not really sure, but I feel like there's something to be said for, having a little bit of challenge, at least, to a game. Now, at this stage of EverQuest 2, where we're at on this server, there's still a need for the community, right? So you're still at the state where you can't really do all of the quests without involving other people. You still need to interact, and I think that that is one important part of EverQuest 2 at this time period, because I feel like community is a big part of what made EverQuest 2 a good game. When you no longer need that community at all, you're now just playing a solo game at that point, and it becomes more difficult to find those things that you would like, such as the social experience that was provided in the past through the game. And I've seen that as one of the complaints about Origins, that people are saying, "Oh, well, you know, um, I can't solo the the mobs that I need for this to be able to advance this or whatever like that, or in this zone or whatever." And it's like, well, yeah, you can't. In some cases, you know, it's fun to try, and it's fun to see how far up you can go. But if you're at max level and you're trying to solo Nazara, I'm sorry, you're probably not going to do that. I see you say that's what's missing on live, at least at your level. Miss running dungeons like running a. Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm in AL right now. Um, sure, that's definitely one thing people got out of it was um they need to go do something with other people, and the community aspect is just lost in real life for young people, and now it feels like it's being lost even in the gaming world for young people. So I feel bad for people of of a certain age and below because they're just not getting the social experience in any way, even in schools. And this is really getting off topic, but here we are. Even in schools, I have heard things like that in one of the lunchrooms nearby here, they're not allowed to talk to each other. So they're supposed to focus on eating their food, and they're not supposed to interact at all, and they're not supposed to talk during PE either. So physical education class, they're not allowed to talk. Where are they getting their socialization? Where are people going to be the social creatures that we are when in real life and online we're being segregated? So yeah, anyway, just a philosophical rant, I suppose. Our guildmate's talking to me, so I'm catching him up real quick. Yeah, I haven't seen Don Ruffington on in a few days. Hopefully, all is going well with him. Still no ruthenium from this adventure. But I see that I do have almost 2 full stacks of roots, so can't be complaining about that. Now, Punchbelly, I don't know if you noticed, but they do have the armor sets on this server, which were not out in the game during the time period that this is set. They brought those over. There are some other things. You can buy the depots on the marketplace, for instance, and prestige houses are also available. There's also the notes tab in the quest journal. So they do have a lot of the modern conveniences. Um, I don't remember exactly when it was that they stopped making you go to the bank to split your coin up into different denominations, or when they got rid of the weight of coins and encumbrances and things like that. Uh, you can become encumbered still on this at this point, but it's only from trying to go out with strong boxes in your bags, basically. You can run around in the city with the strong boxes, and it won't slow you down. But if you try going outside of the city, which I believe does include the sewers underneath the city, um, then you'll become heavily encumbered and be walking snail-like. But as far as the armor weighing you down and things like that, that's not happening on this server. You said that you had made a character on Origins. How far did you get in that? Just started? Ah, yes. Okay. Still on the Isle. Well, like I said, it's not quite as rough, I suppose, as as it was during actual 2007 uh, when this was the current content. But it's definitely more gritty than live by far. No fast travel or any of that crazy stuff. You still have to unlock the griffins um, to go use the ones in Thundering Steps or Neck Forest, but you don't have the access quests for Enchanted Lands, Zack, or Fear It. So some of the some of the stuff is there, some of it isn't. The stats um, have been changed back toward what they were uh, at around this time, as far as like agility, stamina, etc., and what they do. And so Shadow Knights, for instance, need intelligence because Shadow Knights cast spells, and so you do have a difference in the gear that is would be good for your class. So definitely pay attention to that. If you do log back into that character, that's gonna um, be something to definitely pay attention to. Are you on Anashti Sul or are you on the PvP version? can't remember. Is it Dozakar? I can't remember what the PvP um, version of the Origins server is. I feel like it's a 3-syllable thing. I see that ads are running. Oh, excellent. All right, all right. I don't know if I ever have awesome commentary, but I have commentary. We'll go that far. But definitely thanks for letting me know, because uh, otherwise I just sit here and say things um and when I don't get any response, I'm like, oh well, okay, I guess that was boring. My phone has decided to deliver like a million messages to you, so that's cool. I'm going to see if I can get this piece of wood out of the way so that we can have a little better spawn over in this area close to this mischievous maiden. Maybe I'm going to go ahead and just kill her real quick in spite of the pain of having to use the touchpad. Ah, it's no bueno. But this is the sacrifice I'm going to make in order to grab that rhythmic stone. It's been there too long. In some distant future, I'm going to find my charger for my other laptop and get that going, and then hopefully be able to eventually hook up a second monitor to something and be able to see when ads are going to be going. It's going to be a whole new world. You could even say a brave new world. You wouldn't want to, but you could. I suspected that that might be the same one, but I went and tried it anyway because, you know, I have been wrong before and I could have been again. Ah, Lolit is here, hunting the great turtles, which puts me in mind of the Great Atuan, as all Terry Pratchett Discworld fans should know. If you have not read Terry Pratchett's Discworld series, by the way, definitely do so. I encountered his my first encounter, I would say, with his writing was when I was maybe around 11 years old, and I read what was it? It was not the Light Fantastic. That was the second one in the series. It was the first. The Color of Magic. That's what it was. The Color of Magic. Um, and I remember it was the first book that made me laugh aloud, um, like real world belly laugh, hilarity, tears streaming from my eyes, which is a very difficult thing to do for me. I'm not very don't really get emotionally involved in media very much. So whether that's movies or books, um, it's you know have separation between reality and fantasy is definitely strong with me, and so it doesn't really, I don't normally get super affected, but certainly Terry Pratchett has had a way with words. It's funny stuff there. I know that they made a series of the Discworld universe. I don't know exactly what they were focusing on, but I didn't watch it. Don't plan to because it's my experience that when movies or like any kind of visual representation of books is created, it tends to be much less, right? So not always, but most of the time, it's a diminished version of the uh, of the book, and often a misinterpretation of the book, and it's sad and annoying. So I tend to avoid it, and certainly I have avoided that one. I did watch The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy movie, which has been made in many, many types of media. That was Douglas Adams. And so I've watched I don't know if it's the most recent version of that that's come out, but a version that came out in the 2000s. And the thing with that one is, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy was originally pretty much a radio series, anyway, radio show. And Douglas Adams himself said that every time he told the story, he told it differently. And so it feels like that was one that could be remade um, without any possibility of messing it up too badly, as long as the humor was delivered appropriately and that it was, in the appropriate style, then then that's acceptable, But otherwise, not big on um, movies made from books or films made from books in general. And I think I'm definitely not alone there. I've heard that a lot of times. People, the book was better than the movie. That's a kind of a commonly quoted uh, saying. So, see, EverQuest, this is the kind of amazing commentary you might have missed if I had only kept talking. In all fairness, like my monologuing can range drastically in scope as the neurons fire at random. You're riveted. Yeah, I bet you are edge of your seat. You just never know what's going to come out of my mouth next. Silence apparently was what was next there for a whole moment, but it was deep thoughts. If you could have heard my mind, then you would be amazed. Holy streamer, the toxin bullet points. Yeah, sounds right. Yeah, that's accurate. TLDR, man. That's right. Yeah, my daughter just finished reading The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. Um, and it was one that she reads aloud. Okay, so we'll just back this up a little bit. So I have four kids, and three of them are still minors, and each of them, we read together every night, whether they're reading to me or whether I'm reading to them. We'll read a chapter of something every night, each. And so anyway, she was reading The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, and then she switched over to The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn after finishing that one. Um, Something interesting was she was ended up looking up uh, Mark Twain. For some reason, she was interested in learning about Mark Twain after this, and came across something called The Adventures of Mark Twain. And apparently, it came out, I want to say in 1985, and it's a claymation video movie. Um, Really, really interesting. I've never seen it before this, before her showing it to me. And I was like, how did I miss this? This is like underground magic here, like with all the things that I've seen, how is this not a cult classic? Or if it is, how do I not know about it? Like, I mean, I watch all the cool stuff, the Dark Crystal and Labyrinth, and, Pi and all that, right? Like, I mean, I got a wide spread on the cult classics. Naked Lunch, right? But like, somehow I did not see ever in my existence The Adventures of Mark Twain, and it's so surreal. I only saw part of it. She was showing me some clips, and it's just, if you haven't experienced that before, definitely look it up. It's uh, it's so strange. Check out a clip about the mysterious stranger, and then so after she showed me that, and specifically the mysterious stranger portion of that, she then looked a little deeper into it and discovered that The Mysterious Stranger was actually a short that Mark Twain had written in his well, he actually wrote a few different versions of it, and each one of them was definitely uh, it would not be what you would expect from Mark Twain. It's much more dark and gritty. And if you haven't seen or heard of that, look into it. It's kind of crazy. Um, it's definitely unusual writings from him, and apparently, like uh, as he grew older, he began to maybe lose faith in humanity to a degree or something of that nature, and was more, I don't know. It was really interesting. You should look it up if you haven't seen it. That's my current aside. Speaking of highlighter material, which puts me in mind of another thing I had read about. And this was something that happened a long time ago, and this is supposed to have been a real thing. And I'm trying to remember the name of it. It was like the Green Children of uh I can't remember. It was basically wolf's. It was Wolf's Den or something. Wolf's. That's not what it is, but it's what it means. And it was like, let's see if I can remember the story. Um, Basically, these children appeared. No one knows from where. They found them in something like a wolf's den. They found them in something like that in a field, and they were very young children. They spoke a language that was, not the one of the area. It was not recognized by anyone in the area where they were found. I wish I could remember where that was, but I can't right now. But one of the interesting things about them, beyond them speaking a language that no one knew, was that they had green skin. And, again, how green was their skin? Who knows? But their skin was apparently green, and they couldn't really communicate. They were obviously not doing super well, and the villagers took them in and tried to help them out, but they refused to eat the foods that were being offered to them. And the boy, there was a girl and a boy, and the boy died. Um, don't know if he starved to death or exactly what happened, but he died. So they buried him, and the girl lived, and she was able to eat something. I want to say they were able to start eating like it was like beans or something like that. But it was the only thing that they could at first eat. Oh, look, a ruthenium cluster, nice. And so anyway, the uh, the girl lived and was able to, learn the language, and I can't remember which language it was. Maybe Danish. I don't recall. Some language that was local to the inhabitants, and she said that they had come from another place where things were different and they'd gotten lost. They'd gone inside a cave and they'd gotten lost. And that then they heard bells ringing and they followed the sound of the bells. And that led them out of the cave where into the area where they had been found. So that was what she said. And that in that other place, they spoke a different language and they I want to say that she said something like the sunlight was different, or something like that too. Really interesting story. It's supposed to be a true story, whether it is or whether it isn't, it's hard to say. It happened hundreds of years ago. Um, and anyway, this woman did, or the child became a woman, and she grew up. I believe she was married to one of the local inhabitants, and they said that as she got older, her skin changed to a you know, normal skin color. So interesting, and how what that's based on is hard to say, but I wish that I could. It's like the green children of something somewhere, and it was something about wolves. I know that it's it sounded like a Germanic name. If anyone has any idea what I'm talking about, feel free to weigh in. Because, you know. Oh, nice. A severed oak, too. I'm hitting all the good rares right now. Hopefully there was no ad during my telling of those poor green children. Well, I have almost filled up these bags, and it is almost 11:30, so I think I will harvest these last couple things after killing this mischievous maiden. And then I better get off and get some food. And also, there was an ad. Oh no! Oh, it's a sad tale you tell there, EverQuest too. I'll have to I'll have to retell it later on. You'll have to remind me. That's hilarious. Um, oh boy. But I'll need to get off in a few minutes and get some food and relocate and hopefully find my mouse. That would be really helpful. And then I'll be back on later. It'll be like I'm gonna say it might be an hour to an hour and a half before I make it back on. Um, but as always, it was a pleasure streaming with you guys and chatting with you. It's always enjoyable. Um, if you're not following me yet, be sure to follow me so you can know when I'm gonna go live. And I'm gonna call Kinos and be out. Goodbye for now.